All right, now we're going to do an applique, but first I think I'd like to show you how an applique is made. This is one of an eagle. It's just an impression. I found this eagle. It was a necklace, and I took the chain off of it, and I just pressed the eagle into some clay, pulled it out, let the clay harden, fired it, and now I have an applique mold that I can use. And this is what we're going to put on that mug. But, okay, how do we make an applique mold? I'm going to start out with, use a healthy chunk of clay, okay? Don't skimp on this because you'll want it to last, and it'll take, if it's something that you use frequently, it'll take a lot of abuse and give you great service. So I want to make an obverse of this. In other words, what I want is this to put on my pot, not this stamped into my pot, if you know what I mean. So take the clay and just press it around here. Make it a nice little sandwich. Now there's two different ways you can attack this. One is you can leave a ridge around the outside, or you can, form it back so that there is no ridge at all. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do this simply because you get to see it now. Doing this, it just makes it easier to apply a chunk of clay and pull it off again. If you do it the other way, you generally have to pull it out. So now comes the fun part, and that's just remove this. Now I'll let that dry. Put it in the kiln, and it'll be serviceable as an impression mold. And that's what it will look like when it's out. So that's what we did here. Now I want this to be kind of thin, so I'm not going to use a whole lot of clay, but I'm going to start by squeezing it into the surface of the mold, and I'm going to squeeze until I can actually feel through the clay and feel the impression of the eagle. So I mean, it's going to be nice and thin. Excuse the sniffles, please. Okay, there we go. Now, well, we've got the exact duplicate of what is on the mold. But that's a lot of clay going on there. I don't want all of that. So, well, trim that sucker down. So that's what we do. And I will trim by leaving a feathered edge. In other words, I'm going to trim with a bias to the cut. So that I get this angle here that feathers down to almost nothing. That's going to make it real easy to blend in with the surface of the pot. Now, where do I want it? Well, I'm a right-handed drinker, so I'm going to want it on this face with the handle to my left. That way, as I'm using the cup, everybody will see the nice pretty eagle sitting there. So we give it a test fit. See, is that where I want it to go? Okay, I think that will do very good. And I've also decided, no, I'm going to leave it like that. Alrighty. Now comes the prep. Again, the scoring. Yeah, we want to develop a nice film of slip here. Not water, but slip. Take it all the way out to the edges. Oh, there you go. You can see this slip is forming. Now we want to do the same thing on the mug. Yeah, a lot of people will take this to the table and work as a hand builder, but I like to stay at the wheel because it gives me this opportunity to move things. Now work your piece from the inside out. What you want to do is squeeze out any air bubbles that are back there. Air bubbles aren't always a finalized disaster, but boy, they sure can be. Especially if you don't do your applique right, that whole sucker will just pop right off if there's an air bubble behind it or a pocket of moisture. Now that looks a little bit rough, but that's where the brushes come in. We can use, I don't want to use the toothbrush, it's a little bit too stiff, but use a semi-stiff paintbrush or a glazing brush to get a lot of that irregularity out of it. Again, we want to have this with as little evidence of fingerprints or other handling as possible. What I'm doing really is turning all those uneven places into slip and moving it about. I'll bet I was getting it out of the picture. Yeah, I was. Now, the mop. Hit this with a little bit of heat. Knock the water off of that. So there you go, a mug with an applique. Now once that's glazed, it'll be kind of nice, won't it? Thanks for watching.